another quarantined coaches episode. We got Kaleb Davis, Coach Davis from Furman. How are you, man?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Like everybody else, right?
I know, man. We're kind of in, well, not kind of. We're certainly in uncharted territory, and I think everybody's trying to figure out, where to go next, what to do next, and for me, that's the scariest thing I've got. There's a lot of positives to it, and I think that's kind of how us as a coaching staff, I know Coach Harker, our head coach, has done that a lot with our guys, and when we talk to them, how we're trying to portray this is, an opportunity. We tell guys all the time, obstacle breeds opportunity, and we're in a situation right now, man, where we have more free time than we've ever had and probably ever will have. For me as a dad of a 2-year-old, man, the last week I probably spent 50 hours outside with my little girl and hanging out. And it's been a blast. Obviously I think all of us would like to be on baseball fields, but we all know that this is going to pass and we'll get back to that point. So I think it's, making the most of this situation. And I think our guys are doing a really good job of having that kind of mindset.
Yeah, no doubt. And I know you and I were talking off the record a little bit just about how this is an opportunity also for us to kind of see a personal side of you guys. I've been really intrigued by seeing all the social media stuff and just getting to see that personality of coaches because, you guys are always locked in on business when we see you or when parents and high schoolers see you, right? And it's almost the perception is a little bit intimidating, intimidated of you guys. And so the human element is really cool to kind of see, Where are you right now, by the way? You got a man cave?
Yeah. I'm in my garage. I'm a big Cubs fan. I call it the Cub House. And my wife kind of let me turn it into, whatever I wanted. So
show us around. Let me see. What do we got going on there?
So over here we got pictures of Wrigley Field, sign my sister made me up there. We got the custom bar here.
Oh boy.
We got a jersey over there in the corner. So instead of having a guest book, at our wedding, we had our last name put on the back of the jersey in the year we got married, 2011, and we had all our guests sign the jersey. So it's a pretty cool set up. And
I don't see the gym in there. Where's the gym at?
Well, I got some kettlebells over here in the corner.
There you go.
Yeah, you can see I'm using my daughter's pink gymnastics bar to do some stuff, but yeah, I actually built a pull-up bar at the back of my property, so working on getting some weights put back there. So got to stay after it, man.
Good stuff. So speaking of staying after it, what are you telling your pitchers to do right now?
Yeah, so with our guys, man, we keep it very simple. So we have a much different philosophy probably than a lot. We're not anti-weighted balls or any of that stuff. We have a couple guys that do it, but it's a very individual, tailored basis for those guys. But I've been very, very fortunate over the last 5 years to become very close friends with Leo Mazzoni. He is my personal mentor, lives on Lake Hartwell, about 15 minutes away from me. And, his big thing has always been, and our thing is now, more often with less exertion rather than less often with more exertion. So I think we're just in a day and age, and I think where we're at right now is, for our guys, it's uncharted territory, but at the same time, our guys can still get our work in. So the big thing for us is getting on the mound a lot more often than normal, but going at it with less exertion rather than the kid that's getting on the mound at Lake Point on a Friday night, blowing it out for 5 innings, and then maybe he doesn't touch the mound but one time, before he gets back on the mound the next Friday night and blows it out. I just think we're in a day and age with a lot of arm injury. And honestly, for us, man, I tell our guys all the time, listen, if you're a shortstop, what is the percentages that you take ground balls at practice? 100%. If you're a point guard, what percentage of practices are you shooting free throws? 100%. If you're a quarterback, what percentage are you taking a 3-step drop and, throwing a 5-yard out? And it's 100%. As a pitcher, it's what? 10%. But we try to change the game a little bit with that. I just think a big part of pitching is being comfortable. And our guys are very comfortable 60 feet, 6 inches. One of my core principles here is strengths over weaknesses. We don't spend a lot of time, working on pickoffs and PFPs. We do that from time to time, but we really try to run it like a pro style type practice where 90% of the time my guys are working 60 feet 6 inches. I tell guys all the time, I don't care if you have the best pickoff move in the country. If you can't get out 60 feet 6 inches, you're probably not going to play a whole lot for us. So, man, my guys get off the mound 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week, depending on who they are. And it's just being able to control the effort. That's what we do. It's, Leo told me when we first started coaching, I was like, man, how am I supposed to get guys off the mound 4 times a week? He said, if you can't control their effort as a coach, you shouldn't be a coach. So, that for me, I took that to heart, and that's what our guys do. We take a lot of pride in commanding the strike zone. And so really right now, that's what my guys are doing. They're getting off the incline. We're 60 feet 6 inches. We're continuing to hone our craft. Obviously, we're kind of in a waiting stage. What does the next few months hold? I think summer ball is going to be a really big deal this year, where in years past, if a guy's throwing 50-plus innings, we're probably not letting him throw a whole lot. We're probably putting an inning cap on him. But right now, we're really kind of letting these guys run. And I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of delay running from summer ball into fall ball like there has in years past. So
Right. You mentioned Leo Mazzoni, best pitching coach ever. Hands down, I think that's fair to say. Sorry to everybody else. There's a lot of good ones, but I'm a Braves fan. So I grew up watching him rock and back and forth on the bench and deal with the greatest pitching staff ever. So what would you say in one sentence is the best thing he's ever taught you?
So honestly, man, the best thing that he's ever taught me is a lot of coaches approach guys with a what. Hey, you're flying open. Hey, quit closing yourself off. Don't let your front side leak. Don't run away from the baseball. He told me, he said, man, if you can't ever coach with whys, you're just not going to be very successful. And to me, that's a really, really big deal, especially at Furman. Our guys are really smart. They like to break down everything. And if you don't understand why you're doing something, you're probably not going to be very successful at doing it.
Right.
And so, a lot of times whenever this is finished up already, my 9th year of college coaching. And early on, man, I didn't know why, and Leo was just giving me more resources and more ways to explain a why with all his knowledge. I mean, I was talking to Coach Harker the other day. I said, man, you think this guy sits in a dugout. He did it for 16, 17 plus years at the big league level, and that's 162 games. Multiply that by 3 in each class, because we play 56.
Right.
There's basically 3 college seasons in one big league season. So
all the playoff games he was involved in.
Well, in spring training too, and a lot of people don't know this, but Leo did Camp Leo before spring training. So before spring training started, he'd have his guys, and this was optional. He called it Camp Leo, would show up at Turner Field, and those guys would throw. I've got the notebook in my office from 1994, the year of the strike. Every single time that Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine picked up a baseball, it's documented, handwritten in a college rule notebook.
Wow.
First week of February, Tom Glavine threw a bullpen 6 days a week. And so listen, if those guys can do it, our guys can do it. It's all about being able to manage their effort. And that's why those guys, went on a run of 373 consecutive starts without any of their starters missing a start due to injury.
Well, this was supposed to be a short interview, but now you've just opened up Pandora's box. I mean, what else is in that notebook? Give me something on Maddux, on Schmaltz, on all.
Man, it's got, my favorite thing about it is, each outing has a comment section. So he made his own, like with a ruler, his own chart, and each guy, every outing has their own charts. And so, at each, he's got comments. And the thing that I love about, you think about Leo Mazzoni, a guy that's coached multiple Cy Young winners, Hall of Famers, and in my opinion, obviously you said it too, the greatest pitching coach in all baseball. You would expect to see paragraphs of notes. Greg Maddux, 7 innings versus the Brewers, 3 hits, 1 run, no walks, 6 Ks. Comments, good. It's just, he keeps it simple, man. And his whole thing is keeping it simple. His big thing is, never assume these guys know what they're talking about. And he said he had that mentality with Greg Maddux, and if he had that mentality with Greg Maddux, I got to be able to have it with my my guy that was maybe all conference the year before. And I think as coaches, we fall, victim to doing that is a lot of times assuming these guys know what they're doing. Right. And, sometimes we don't know what we're doing either, so we have to take a step back and keep coaching. Just because a kid went 10-2 the year before with a 2.7 ERA and 108 innings doesn't mean that the next year he's going to do the same thing. It doesn't mean that he's arrived. I think we owe it to these kids to continue to develop them. That's what they come to play for us for, is to be developed. And so, man, there's a lot of things like that he's taught me that's a huge advantage to us in the way that we approach our guys too. I mean, obviously he's a big fan of the down and away strike, which we do a ton of work with that, but also pitching inside. He taught me something that, has helped our guys have a ton of success pitching in. And that's what we do. We can pitch in at 86 and have some effectiveness with it as well. I think a lot of times when guys go in, they have to think they have to overpower because they're scared of the guy pulling it down the line for a home run. And so his mentality has always been, sneaky quick, hard away, sneaky quick in. And it kind of calms guys' fears of saying, all right, all I got to do is take a deep breath, get my alignment right, and stick this under his hands, and I'm good. And man, our guys have a ton of success doing it. And so there's a lot of little things like that, like I said, going back to the why we're doing it and also the how, and so that's been a huge advantage to us. He's technically not allowed to coach our guys, but he's allowed to coach us on how to coach them. And so
right.
It's been a huge advantage for us.
I don't know if you hear that. That's my child being home right now. Great. My office is right under his room.
I think I hit the jackpot yesterday. I found out that my daughter loves watching the Rocky movies. She's only 2, so she's inside here right now.
How old is she?
She'll be 3 next month. So
wow. She likes Rocky already.
She loves Rocky, man. She just saw the scene of him running in downtown Philly, climbing up the stairs, and she thought it was the greatest thing on the planet. So now that's all she does through my house. So.
That's the second Rocky reference.
Yeah, Rocky
2 days that I've gotten from coaches. I guess you guys love them. Two more questions for you.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with the Braves. My dad, when I was 6 years old, brought me to the World Series in Atlanta. I was there in '95 at Game 6 when they won. Without disclosing something that maybe he wouldn't want you to, what's the best story Leo's ever told you?
Oh, man.
I'm sure there's a lot of really good ones, but I don't want you to get in trouble.
And I'll tell you too, there's a lot of choice language in Leo's stories too that is probably not appropriate.
All right, we'll let Leo. Hopefully,
some of my favorites, man, were when they were going to New York to play the Mets, but all that stuff was going on with John Rocker, and they had to sneak the guys out of the hotel room, sneak them into the stadium because John Rocker was John Rocker. And, they brought him into the game and, they had told Leo and Bobby before the game that, they had snipers in the upper deck and all this stuff. Oh man. And, and I think it was Javi or somebody told Leo, say, listen, if you make a mound visit, man, I ain't coming out because I don't want to get shot. And, it was nuts. Some of the stuff that he has told us, I've got a lot of them recorded on my phone. I don't know if he knows that or not, but I'll just play it for people around. So when we get together, I'll tell you some more. Leo.
Have that ready. Ready. One more question for you. I'm working with the guys, Rob Friedman, Pitching Ninja over at Flat Ground. We're trying to do things like this, just provide as much content as possible, give college coaches a voice, and again, bring that personal side out for people to see. In terms of the Flat Ground stuff, I know a lot of guys recruit off of that. We've talked about that with plenty of coaches. What about the Pitching Ninja, though? I think a lot of casual fans view it as entertainment. You as a professional pitching guy, are there things that you can learn off of there?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think as anybody in this game, I think when you feel like you've learned everything or you can't learn something from somebody else or something else or some other content, I think you've pretty much hit your expiration date on what it is you're supposed to be doing. So for me, we try to keep a very open mind. Listen, I know we've talked a lot about Leo. There's not a more old school guy in the world than Leo Mazzoni. There's just not. at the same time, he tells me every single day, you've got to be willing to change. You've got to be willing to listen. You've got to be willing to be open to different ideas. And he says, listen, that's why I'm not in the game today. And so for me, man, whether it's something I believe in, whether it's something I've never heard before, whatever it is, there's always things out there to be able to learn. And, for me, that's the scariest part about the time we're in. We've got more time on our hands right now than we've ever had. And we've got to be able to prioritize that, be able to use that, with family. Obviously it's great right now, but also with our craft, whether you're actually a college player, whether you're a high school kid trying to recruit, or a college coach just trying to get better at what it is that you do, trying to find more whys to tell your guys and more hows. There's always content out there that we can look into and get better at, whether it's on Twitter, YouTube, a video conference call, whatever it may be. I think stuff like this can become the new norm, but I also think that at the end of the day, baseball is going to be baseball. It's always going to be played 60 feet, 6 inches, 90 feet at a time. And, I think there's a happy marriage between the two that both people, both sides have to be willing to look at. So, of course,
Well,
that's a little more long-winded answer than you
probably. No, not at all, dude. This has been the best. Sitting here and you and I have talked a bunch about things before, but I don't think we've ever had a conversation like this. I kind of get that feeling over me that I'm talking to a special guy, man. Really, the information, the knowledge that you have, the mentors that you have, I think that one day I'm going to want this conversation while you got a different cap on that might be, of the Cubs.
Yeah. Hey, you never know, man. You never know. But no, it's the last thing I want to say about our staff here at Furman, we have a staff that's about the players. At the end of the day, Coach Harker says this all the time. It's our recruiting philosophy. We want the kids that we recruit to know we care way more about the name on the back of the jersey than the one on the front. Obviously the one on the front signs our paychecks, but for us, it's in 40 years. The invitation to an event with that guy or that kid that we coached back when he was 20, 21, 22. And so whether it's a Diamond F or whatever logo it is, it's always going to be about the names on the back. And that's how we're going to recruit and run our program. And at the end of the day, man, if all we're doing is teaching these kids how to throw fastballs and breaking balls, we've kind of missed the point. So our goal is to teach these guys how to be good young fathers one day, good young husbands one day, and go from there. So, man, that's what we're very passionate about. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you a little bit.
Yeah, man. I don't think anybody has ever heard a coach say it's about the name on the back of the jersey.
Right.
That's something right there. Good point to end on. Hey, man, again, thank you so much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Looking forward to seeing you back out on the field.
Absolutely. Coach. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate it.
Take it easy, man.